I did it wrong. Okay, I already messed up. Guess what I finished? You want to see? Let's see if I can get the whole thing in here. Can you see the whole thing? I finished sewing the binding on 2 days ago, I think. And I'm going to enter this quilt into the fair. I don't really expect a ribbon because the quilting is not perfect. And I think they kind of tend to prefer long arm quilting anyway. And I never do that. So the year I did win a ribbon, it was hand quilted. It was my house quilt. I won 3rd place ribbon and I hand quilted that one. But anyway, we'll see. I like to go to the fair and be inspired by all of the quilts that other people have made. And so I think that this one is worth submitting to inspire others. So I'm going to enter this into the Kentucky State Fair, which is next month. If you're going, maybe try to find me. Anyway, today I'm going to show you how to make this block at the top and bottom. I have a sun at the top and I have, I guess, a moon at the bottom. So this is 2 of this block. Here is just 1 block. So a lot of people have asked if I'm going to do a tutorial on this, and so I did. But if you want to make all of the other elements in this quilt, the improv ones, my newest book is here and it's listed in my shop today. So this is called Wonderfully Wonky Bugs and Flowers. And this is instructions for the ladybugs, butterflies, flowers, and some more ideas. How to make all of these elements in this quilt. I hand draw the illustrations in my books. This is my 4th one. I also have improv houses. I have Make It Wonky, which teaches you to make lots of different traditional quilt blocks in an improv way. And I have Curvy Improv, if you remember my fish quilt. So I will also offer these in a 4-pack for a little bit of a discount if you want to get all 4 books. But if you already have the other ones and want to hop over and get Wonderfully Wonky, just click on the link in the description below. And if you do not live in the US, because I don't ship outside of the US, I created a digital version as well. So it's designed to just be printed off and stapled at the top. So it's not in the cute book form, but you can still have it. My light just died. Okay, that's better. But for now, today, when we make this, you're going to need to go over to my website and get this free pattern that I made. This is free because this is a paper piecing technique. If you are brand new to paper piecing and you're intimidated by like the curves and the little pieces, you can also watch, I'll pop a link to the other video I made about paper piecing, which is a very basic economy block, and that free pattern is also on my website. So if you want to start with something simpler, you can try that first. But paper piecing is actually really easy. It's designed for precision. So just because it looks so precise, that's kind of the point of it. That doesn't mean it's hard. It'd actually be much harder without the paper. So if you do just want to jump in with this block, you totally can do that. But you definitely, this is not optional. You have to have this if you're gonna make this. I originally got this pattern from a book, Sew a Row Quilts, and it was surprisingly incomplete. It only had seam allowances on one of these parts. I had to draft the other one, and then I had to draft the top and bottom pieces myself, and so that's the reason why I redid it and made it a freebie on my site. I'm not trying to sell somebody else's work or anything, but if you want to go get that book, otherwise I absolutely love that book, Sew a Row Quilts. You've probably seen me talk about it a lot when I was making this butterfly quilt. Anyway, let's get to it. Okay, all you need for this is some scraps of fabric and these pages. We're going to start with this smaller curved piece. So you're going to need a background and scraps. For my butterfly quilt, I used 2 different background colors, but on this one, I just chose 1. And then I had all of these little Liberty swatches that I ordered from Mood when I was figuring out what to do for my Mother the Bride dress. And I am so happy I get to put these little pieces to use. They were really small. I cut these in half, so they were twice this size. But this is the perfect thing to do with them. And then at the end, I'll tell you what my plans are for these 2 pieces. Of course, if you want to make 4 and make an entire circle, you totally can. But I'm just making 2. So what you want to do is cut out this piece roughly. Not roughly, sorry. You need to cut it right on these lines. When you print this, make sure that your printer is set to print at 100% scale. If you can get it to print without margins also, that's even better. Mine, I can't get it to do that, but that's okay. It always cuts off like a little bit and puts it white. And these are, I barely fit these on the page, but I made it work. Okay, then you might want to get a pencil and mark which pieces are your background. And on this piece, it's these larger pieces. Okay, so then all you do, you need a glue stick, optional but useful. I'm going to start with this little one, and you're going to put it face down because this is going to be the wrong side of your piece. This is going to be the right side. So it's all going to come together on this side. So you want the pretty side facing away from you at all times. I'm going to put a little dab of glue just in this spot and stick it on for now. Let me get my light board. Make way. If you haven't seen this before, this is the Caterpillar glow board. And I love this because I can cut right on here. So I can see what I'm doing and I can just cut. I don't have to move it out of the way. So if you're interested in this, I actually have a discount code because I'm an affiliate with them. So if you want to go check that out, I also have the mini one, which is equally useful, but you have to plug it in. This one holds a charge. Anyway, if you're interested in that, you can click the link below. Okay, and then I like to cut several squares of my background fabric. I need to cut some more. I only have 2 here. And you want it always to be bigger than you think you need, especially when you're dealing with angles like this. So I want to place these fabrics right side to right side, and I want there to be some overhang of this background fabric across this line that I'm about to sew on. So you want to make sure you have at least a 1/4 inch overhang over here. Just kind of hold the whole thing together and go sew directly on this line. You want to set your stitch length to 1, which is very small, it's true. But that is so that you can easily tear this paper away later. So I'm going to go sew directly on this line. So now I have this. But before I fold this over on itself, I'm going to trim this. Sometimes you might have more than I have right here. But if you're super accurate, you won't have to trim very much. Sometimes I have to trim a lot. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it over, open this up, and just iron it open. And then if you need to, especially if you're working with larger pieces, you can stick this one down a tad into its space. And then we're going to keep going. So I'm going to pick my next scrap. How about this one? I'm going to put it face up so that it's pretty side to pretty side. I'm going to make sure that it's at least hanging over a 1/4 inch past this next line that I'm about to sew on. And I'm going to go sew it. Okay, you can see on this one, I sewed all the way into the seam allowances. I don't always do that, but I found that it's easier to sew these curves together later if I do. So you can't do it on every one because then your stitches will cross and it won't fold out. So I do it on all the ones going to the left. Okay, and so then I'm going to fold this back and trim. And then turn it, open it, and press. You can see that it's a mess right now, but it starts to come together, I promise. I really love these faux linen solids from Connecting Threads. I just ordered a big fat 1/4 pack of them because I found myself using them more than just regular solids. I like how they have some texture. I'll put a link to those too. Wow, I'm a linking frenzy today. Okay, so I'm going to put this one right side up next. Put my line, my next line, so that it's overhanging at least a 1/4 inch. You can fold it back and see. And I'm going to go sew. Fold it back. Trim all that extra off. And open and press. All right, I'm going to just keep going in this way. So here's what I look like on the back now. And this is where the magic happens. You turn it over and you just cut on the seam allowance line. Some paper piecing patterns, straight ones, curved ones should always have seam allowance, but some straight ones don't include the seam allowance, and you just have to use a ruler to cut off an extra 1/4 inch. So I would just place a ruler here like this one and make sure I'm cutting a 1/4 inch away from the lines. Okay, and now look. Ta-da! Isn't it beautiful? Paper piecing is so magical. There's no way I would be able to get these precise lines and points without the guide. So now I'm going to make the big one in the same exact way. This one is the opposite. It starts, instead of starting with a scrap, it starts with a background. So don't let that confuse you on this next part. So in case anybody is confused on why you want something so much bigger, it's because you just want to make it big enough to make sure that when you flip it over, it's going to completely be covered by the section you're trying to piece in and its seam allowances. So especially when there's angles involved, if you're just doing squares, it's really easy to cut a piece to size. When you're doing a lot of angles, it can be harder to make sure, unless you have superior spatial intelligence, unlike me. I just like to make them bigger, and it's not a waste because all of these scraps get thrown back into the scrap bin and used for other things. So you just have to make sure that when you flip it, it's going to completely cover this space. Okay, I want to talk to you for a minute about what to do if you mess up. You just seam rip it like you would anything else that you mess up. It is, however, easier, instead of trying to pick these teeny tiny stitches, just get in between the layers and just start picking from in between them. Yes, your paper will still have holes in it, but just sew over them. Sew it again and move on. I messed up on almost every piece of this that I made for my butterfly quilts, so you are in good company if that happens. Here's what we have so far. You'll notice these do not appear to fit together. That's because curved seam allowances, they should fit with a 1/2 inch overhang, a 1/4 inch here, 1/4 inch there. And then you're going to need to cut out these other pieces. You can see I put on here, this pattern piece stretches the entire width because this is an 8.5 inch block, 8 inch finished. I needed the whole thing, and then of course my printer leaves margins. So just cut all the way to the edge, all the way to the edge, keep this corner intact. I already pre-cut mine, so I will have this and this at the bottom. But first you need to get ready. So you need to take all the papers off of your finished arches. Arcs, something like that. If you're doing something with really tiny pieces, you can use tweezers to help with this, or your seam ripper slit a hole in it and try to get it out with that. Let's do the little one first. I'm going to first mark the center of this curve and of this piece. Don't try to guess. The seam allowances make it an optical illusion, so just mark it. And then I'm going to pin those centers together. I'm going to sew it, to do it this way because I like the concave to be on the top when I'm sewing it onto the convex. So I'm going to spread it all the way out to the edge. I find the smaller pins you use for this, the easier things go. So I have these tiny glass pins. And then you're just going to sort of match up these curved edges the best that you can. This arch, because it has so many little seam allowances, it should curve pretty easily actually. Put as many pins as you think you need, and then go this way. Start at the end, pin, and pin. Okay, let me take this over to the sewing machine and try to get you a good view of how I'm going to sew this on. Okay, I thought I was filming this and I wasn't, so I'm gonna show you again on this next piece. But here's my curved seam, no tucks on either side, and now I can just flip this out and press it. Okay, and then do the same thing. Mark the center of this. This one's a little bit easier because there is a seam there. And mark the center of this, which is also the seam. I'm going to try to stick a pin into the apex of both of these points. Okay, this time let me take you over the machine and show you how I sew it. Okay, don't forget to put your stitch length back to 2 or whatever you like to piece with. Definitely don't need a stitch length of 1 on this. You're simply going to begin sewing, removing your pins if you so desire, and sew these curves together, making sure that you avoid getting any tucks in the fabric as you go. Use your fingers or an awl or something to keep the seams facing the right way and to keep any tucks out of the way of the stitches. Here we go. It's pretty. Okay, I'm pressing this seam toward the outer arc. That's just the direction that it wants to go, whereas this one wanted to go towards the corner. And now I only have the last piece, so I'm gonna do that last piece next. I'm gonna mark the center of both. The bigger your piece, you might also want to mark the quarters. That can be helpful if you're having trouble. Look how pretty. Okay, since quilt blocks are very rarely squared up right when you finish them, I'm gonna just square this up. It needs to be 8.5 inches. And usually it's these inches that are a little bit, or inches, these sides, the pieced sides that are a tad wonky. So those are the sides I'm going to straighten up a little bit first. You're squaring up to 8.5, I should have said. Did I say that? Anyway, now I did. Okay, and now I have these two blocks that fit beautifully together. So pretty. Okay, let me get back on the camera and I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. Okay, what I wanna do with mine, I'm gonna put them together like this. So I have a half sun, moon, whatever. And I'm going to cover, I have like a rectangular shaped pillows in my living room. And I have made some holiday themed, I have the Christmas houses and I have the wonky pumpkins covers for that pillow. But they're looking a little bit sad in just their everyday clothes. And so I've had them for years and years, but they must be really nice pillows because they're still fluffy enough, but the fabric is starting to look sad. So I think I'm going to make a all seasons pillow cover for those with this. All I have to do is sort of frame them out with more fabrics, maybe some denim. This was kind of outside of my normal, very colorful aesthetic, but I loved it. And I'm so happy to have used these Liberty prints. In fact, I think I might go on Etsy and see if I can get maybe a little grab bag of Liberty scraps, because even just the tiniest bit of Liberty looks so pretty. This makes me have a question for my UK friends. Is Liberty, like the US, we are kind of a little bit obsessed with this Liberty stuff in the sewing world. I say the US, but sewers in the US, it's really hard to find the lawn, the Tana lawn. Like my local quilt shop actually has some Liberty cottons, so does Mood. You can find those, but these Tana lawns, not so much. It's harder to find and it's very expensive. So do you also value these Liberty lawns as much as we do here? Just chime in the comments and tell me. So my other ideas for these are to make a full sun and make a mini quilt or a bigger pillow. You can incorporate these into a quilt like I did with my butterfly quilt. On this quilt, I made the sun blocks and I used 2 different tones for the different arcs. And I incorporated flying geese on either side of them, and this is how I turned them into a row for my row quilt. So that's a good idea, but I'm sure you can think of all kinds of ways to put them in a quilt. 1 block in each corner would be really pretty. An entire quilt of these would be very impressive. If you have the patience for that, good for you. I do not. I was thinking while I was making this quilt, I'm glad I only have to make 4 of this block because man, they take a long time. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this, and I hope you've enjoyed this entire quilt process and that you'll come and visit me at the fair if you're local. Visit my quilt at the fair if you're local. I also entered some dolls. I entered my elf dolls and my mermaid doll, and I entered a photo. So we'll see. I entered a photo 2 years ago that won a blue ribbon. Could not believe it. And then last year I entered photos that didn't even get selected. So this year, who knows what will happen, but I entered one. It's from Natalie and TJ's engagement shoot. I'll put it up so you can see. Anyway, go grab your copy of Wonderfully Wonky Bugs and Flowers. Hopefully this will not be the last Wonderfully Wonky book that you'll see, because now that I've done with this quilt, who knows what's gonna come out next. I will see y'all soon. Bye.